In May 1945, thousands of German tanks remained scattered across the European continent. Panthers and Tigers and Panzer IVs sat abandoned along roadsides in dense forests and outside bombed-out factories. The Allied powers now faced a serious and practical question about what would happen to this massive armored fleet left behind by a defeated Germany. By the time Germany formally surrendered on the 8th of May 1945, its once fearsome armored force had been reduced to a shadow of its former strength. Months of crippling fuel shortages, relentless factory bombing campaigns, and endless retreats had left countless vehicles stranded across the country. American soldiers discovered across the country abandoned Panthers and Panzer IVs throughout Bavaria and the Ruhr region, and while Soviet forces swept through Silesia, collecting whatever armor remained, many of these tanks had been deliberately disabled by their own crews, who destroyed engines and gearboxes, rather than allow functional vehicles to fall into enemy hands. Allied forces moved quickly to secure everything they found. American technical intelligence teams methodically catalogued vehicles at collection sites, while British engineering units performed similar work at facilities inside Germany. Soviet trophy brigades, meanwhile, worked aggressively to recover as much armor as possible from occupied territories. The quarry's dead condition of these recovered tanks varied enormously. Some appeared nearly intact, but suffered from severe mechanical wear, while others had been completely stripped of their radios, optics and engines, leaving behind nothing more than hollow steel shells. As occupation zones became established, the focus shifted toward understanding what German engineers had actually accomplished. The United States and Britain both recognized an opportunity to study advanced tank designs and learn lessons that could shape future military development. America shipped selected vehicles, including Panthers, Tiger IVs and Tiger IVs across the Atlantic, to Aberdeen across the Atlantic. In Grove, UND in Maryland, where engineers conducted thorough gunnery trials, mechanical evaluations, and armor penetration studies. What they discovered followed the consistent pattern. German tanks offered genuinely excellent firepower and remarkably high-quality optical systems, but suffered from catastrophic, chronic and debilitating failures in their final drives and transmission components. Conducted their own parallel investigations, primarily inside Germany itself. They carefully compared the Panther's slow-pit armor configuration and powerful long-barreled gun against their own Sherman and Churchill designs, and consistently noted the superior quality of German optics. However, maintenance crews also documented just how extraordinary difficult it was to service these vehicles under realistic field conditions. The Soviet Union approached captured German armor differently, using large numbers of Panzer IVs and Stug assault guns, mainly for training their own crews. By the early 1950s, most German tanks held by Soviet forces had simply been scrapped once replacement parts became impossible to source. In 1948, the Allied Control Council issued formal directives ordering systematic destruction of remaining German military equipment. Armor hauge, Pilkalch and Vila components were officially classified as prohibited materials that could not remain in German possession or be repurposed Military use. Massive demilitarization operations began across the former Reich. Industrial centers throughout the Ruhr and Saxony regions became scrapping hubs, where workers using cutting torches and heavy machinery methodically dismantled Panthers, Panzer IVs and assault guns into pieces. Germany's severe post-war steel shortage actually made this recycling effort economically valuable, as recovered metal went directly into rebuilding bridges, factories and housing for a devastated civilian population. Not every tank ended up as scrap metal. Some abandoned vehicles were physically pushed into riverbanks to stabilize eroding embankments, while others were buried in quarry sites across Central Europe as fill material for landslide-prone areas. A significant portion of surviving German armor was repurposed as target hulks at military firing ranges, allowing Allied crews to test new ammunition types and evaluate emerging weapons technologies. While destruction claimed the overwhelming majority of Germany's wartime armor, a smaller but historically significant number found new operational lives serving foreign armies. France incorporated captured Panthers into the 503rd Combat Tank Regiment, where crews genuinely appreciated the superior tank firepower these vehicles offered compared to contemporary Allied designs, but persistent maintenance needs. HPR's forced retirement. By 1951, Czechoslovakia continued manufacturing AVs from the Panzer 30 HRCs known as the Hitcher and sold large numbers to Switzerland, where they served well into the Cold War era. Perhaps the most remarkable post-war story involved Syria, which acquired Panzer IVs from both Czechoslovakia and Spain during the 1950s, and deployed them in frontline positions along the Golan Heights. These vehicles reportedly remained operational into the 1970s, representing one of the final known combat uses of a jerk lead, and deployed them in frontline command. Second World War tank design. Spain itself had operated Panzer IVs as its primary armored vehicle through the mid-1950s, before selling 17 surviving examples to Syria in 1967. By the middle of the 1950s, most nations had retired their German-inherited vehicles, replacing them with standardized equipment supplied through American or Soviet channels. The remaining Panthers, Tigers, and Panzer IVs gradually entered museum collections at institutions like the Tank Museum at Bovington and the Kubinka Tank Museum near Moscow, ensuring that these historically significant machines survive for future generations to study and remember.